Okay, go with your intros, ladies.
Hello, good morning from Salt Lake City, Utah. My name is Belsy Schleter, and I'm the Southeast RSM. Shout out to my Southeast retailers. And I'm here with National Educator Tina Harris.
Hey everybody, again, just like Belsy said, my name is Tina Harris. I'm a Handy Quilter National Educator, and I am from a little town called Frisco, Texas. It's actually not that little. It is right outside of Dallas, Texas. It's the home of where the Cowboys live. So anyway, I am here. I have to say my shout outs to right at the top. I have to say hi to my dad, especially my husband, who is just my support system in everything that I do, and my boys. So anyway, family, love you. Aww. I know you're kind of sneaking in to see what's happening, but I love you for it anyway.
That is fantastic. Yeah. Well, I am very excited to be here with Handy Quilter and with Tina. Again, just a little shout out to the retailers. I wanted to let everybody know that you guys are the heart and soul of our company and everything that we do, and we appreciate everything that you do in our partnership with you. It looks like we have some really cool machines here to talk about. I don't know if you wanted us to go ahead and start talking about that. We could give a little bit of background. Again, Tina is our national educator, and we do have some really cool quilts behind us.
Yeah, Tina, tell us about this t-shirt quilt.
Sure. So the t-shirt quilt that you see behind me comes with a story, and it comes with a memory. It's something that was created especially for my husband several years ago. As some of you already know, I've done a lot of t-shirt quilts in my life, and that's kind of like what I normally do. And I created a business just making t-shirt quilts and memory quilts out of people's loved ones' clothing. So when I kept making these shirts and t-shirt quilts, my husband said, honey, you're doing all of these wonderful things. You have a gift, but you're doing it for everybody else. Are you going to think about me? And if you do, I would like to have something uniquely special to myself. So I thought about it, and as time went on, probably like 6 or 7 months, I came up with this pattern that you see behind me. It's a modified cathedral pattern, and it just highlighted our entire lives from the time that my boys started playing baseball to the time that they opened up their first businesses to where we are right now, them going through college and entering into their lives. And every step of the way, my husband was there. He coached every single team. And it's just a very special quilt. It's just near and dear to my heart.
Wow, that's amazing. That is a really heartfelt story. I had no idea about that.
Yeah.
You know, I think, you know, when we think about quilting, we think about our family members, or at least I know I do. And as a quilter myself, I have found that when I make something that I enjoy and that I love, the first thing that comes to mind is my parents, and I immediately go, oh, this would look great in my parents' house. Yeah. And I love being able to have that heartfelt feeling and to be able to put those memories into a quilt. And blood, sweat, and tears, really, it sounds like,
literally,
is just beyond heartfelt. And I think a lot of us have that sentiment as well. But as you heard, Tina was able to start a business with it, which is fantastic. And I don't know if you wanted to touch a little bit about that.
Sure. I feel like I'm interviewing you. It's not a problem. I'm happy to talk about that. Okay. Well, Belsy, it really kind of started when my kids were in school, and you know, every event, everything that they did, they had a t-shirt, they had a memory, they had some type of keepsake. And I just kept holding on to them, thinking that, oh, this is going to be maybe something that I will give to them a little bit later on. Yeah. So as time went on, especially when they started entering into middle school and high school, I thought I had this novel idea. Like no one had ever done this before. I was going to create a t-shirt memory quilt for them. And when I did so, I just started looking at all those old shirts. I pulled them out. I tried to organize them as much as possible. Then I tried to do it randomly, just putting blocks all over the place, just trying to figure it out. And I have to tell you, my first quilt before I went live was a complete, utter hot mess, right? It just was. It wasn't the cutest thing, but it was appreciated. Why? Because Mom made it.
Yeah.
Then later on, as I continued to make these t-shirt quilts, then my children's friends started asking for quilts, and everyone started wanting the quilts. And as I made one quilt to the next quilt, each one kept getting better. The quality got better. The stitching got better. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, maybe I do have a gift. My husband is right. Let me try something like this. And then he said, okay, fine. I was doing it, and I was basically giving it away for free. I was charging quilters. We all know we spend a lot of money, but I was spending, like, I don't know, anywhere upwards to $50 to $100 to $200 for a quilt. And I was just not charging people for it. I'll just say, oh, maybe it's like $10. And then it went to $25. And then I was like, you know what, Tina, you need to appreciate your value and your worth. And it went up to $50 to $100. And during this time, we lived in Florida. And then my husband got a promotion. We moved to Dallas. And then he said, babe, what you get to do is make a choice and decision. You can continue to teach elementary school, or you can build a business. And so that's when I decided to combine my passion with all the things that I had done up to that point. And I created my first t-shirt memory quilt. It's called soisaid.com. But with that being said, the piecing was one thing, but the long arm quilting was a completely different story. I had to really take the time to learn that, and I did. Yeah. I went to different retailers and I rented space. If they had that ability, it was wonderful. I went to friends who had long arms, and I begged them to teach me how to do that. And shout out to Angie. Thank you for helping me right from the beginning. But you know, it was a process. It was a time that I needed to spend. But here I am several years later. I'm with soisaid.com, and I'm representing probably the best long arming company I could ever work with. And that is Handy Quilting.
I agree. I definitely agree. And you know, talking about starting your business, it's very important that we have all the things that we need when we start our business, right?
Exactly.
Our machines actually come with a getting started kit, is what I like to call it. So it comes with your bobbin winder, it comes with a little thread kit, right? Some samples, some thread samples, your needles, your bobbins, everything that you're going to need. But right now we actually have a fantastic bundle, right? And so we have the pick your bundle, and we have 3 different options. And so we have the batting roll with a packet of superior threads, and I'm sure you would have loved to have that if you would have had the opportunity to pick that bundle, right? Because
definitely
at that point, what do you need? Your backing and your top, and you're ready to go. Also, we have the highlight. The highlight is amazing. Having that additional lighting, I know you can't see it, don't have my glasses on, but I do have contacts. I am very blind at heart, unfortunately, and any additional lighting that I can get, I need, and I love it. And then we also have, for those that are interested in Pro Stitch or any sort of automation robotic system, or if you already have it, if you're already looking to upgrade or get that Pro Stitcher, you have the option to get a credit for ProStitcher.com. And I believe,
really correctly,
yes.
I didn't know you did
that.
Yes. Really? Wow.
$500 credit, yes. So $500 credit to shop at ProStitcher.com. And that, you really can't beat that. Think about it.
You do.
We're setting you up for success. And if you think this is the opportunity to go ahead and jumpstart your business, or you think, you know what, I've been on the edge of thinking, do I want a long arm? Am I ready for that step? I say take the opportunity. Allow yourself to grow into that. And with the Pick Your Own bundle, it's definitely the time to do it. Not only that, some of you might have seen we have a upgrade trade up program, and we actually have our sales team on the phones right now, and they are happy to talk to you about it. It is with participating retailers, so definitely if you have any additional questions, or let's say you started quilting years ago, and you have one of the original HQ16s, you have an Avante, a Fusion, and you're ready to upgrade, definitely give us a call, and I'm sure they'd be happy to connect you to the right individuals to talk to you further about that.
And I have to say, Belsy is completely right. This is kind of like, first of all, to hear about all the specials that Handy Quilter is offering, this is kind of like unparalleled. It's not really heard of before. When I purchased my machine several years ago, we don't want to talk about it. I still had mostly black hair. There weren't that many bundles. There weren't things out there that were accessories. You buy the machine, you got a little bit of education, and that was really good. And since then, I have to say, the education, I can talk about that from the education side for sure. we talk about all the different things that come with the machines, and the most important part about the entire thing is you feeling comfortable with the machine, understanding what are all of the wonderful things that you have that's going to make your quilting life a lot easier. On top of it, when I'm teaching, we talk about becoming a family, and that is what Handy Quilter is. It's like, this is a family, this is a community. Just try it. Call some of the other long arming companies. They're all wonderful. There's no shade thrown on any of them at all. But I will say, when you call Handy Quilter, you're guaranteed to get somebody on the phone. So whether you need to talk to somebody in tech support, if you need to talk to somebody who is in education, I mean, there's someone there to help with your questions along the way. So you never feel like you're walking this journey alone.
Absolutely.
It's a cool thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, let me be the first to welcome you to the Handy Quilter family.
Welcome.
I wanted to take this time to see if anybody had any questions before we start jumping into the machines.
Yeah.
Any questions?
What machines do you guys have?
You can go ahead and then I'll follow suit.
You just rephrase the question.
Okay, so the question was, what machines do we have at home? So I currently quilt on an Amara 20, but my long arming quilting journey started with an Infinity 26-inch, and so I am one of those people that like all the bells and whistles. I like, to compare it to a vehicle. I like the heated seats. I like the cool seats. I like the heated steering wheel. Yeah. So that's me. For space purposes and just the amount of quilting that I currently do, the Amara 20 meets my perfect needs, but the Infinity is definitely my choice, my preference.
Yeah. So when I started, my journey started a little bit different. I went to the quilt shop and I started on probably a Moxie XL. And I felt like at that point, my business was still a little bit young. And so the amount of money that I had, I needed to stay on a budget so that I would not be going in the red. So I thought to myself, you know what, I'm going to just go with this Moxie. This is a wonderful thing. This is what you see in front of us. And I talked to my husband about it. And as I was building this business, he was like, honey, seriously, if we're going to start a business, let's just go ahead and jump in. You got this. You got this, Tina. And so when you ask me what am I actually sewing on now, to my surprise, I'm sewing on an Infinity 26 because it offered all the bells and whistles. The speed on it was phenomenal. But I have to also say, as my journey continued to grow, I purchased a machine from a sweet lady named Diane. And so I have nicknamed my forte Lady Di. So anyway, this is what I have, and I'm pretty excited about it. And for some of you who don't have a Forte, we don't make those anymore at Handy Quilter, but it is equivalent to the Amara 24. Exactly. Yep. So technically, I am sewing on a brand spanking new machine and a previously loved machine that is the equivalent to the Amara 24.
Yeah, and I think really what changed was the name. So yeah, that's absolutely. I would say confident. I would confidently say it's an Amara 24.
Yeah.
I know you had mentioned, when you went to the quilt shop, you were looking at something that was budget conscious.
Absolutely.
Which kind of leads us into what we're looking at right now. We have two different machines here. You'll notice that they're actually both named Moxie, with the exception of one's saying XL. They do look a smidgen different,
right?
As you can tell, right? What throat space do we have here on this Moxie?
Actually, Belsy, we're working with 15 inches of throat space, and the throat space is anywhere from this portion of the machine to the head of the machine. So about 15 inches. Now, we'll have to say, when you put this actually on a frame, you have about 10 inches, so a few inches less that you can actually quilt on. So your quiltable space is going to be a little bit shyer than your throat space. And you got to keep that in mind whenever you are buying or considering to buy or purchase a machine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What about yours? How big is your throat space?
So actually, we're looking at about 18 inches. And so what I like to say is we're looking at 18 inches from the back of the machine to the back of the needle. And that is just throat space on the machine itself. Mm-hmm. But as far as quiltable area or quiltable space, I would say we probably have about... what do we say? About 13 inches, I want to say, about quiltable space.
Maybe close, about 14, depending on it.
Quilting space, we do lose a little bit. maybe that's not the right choice of word, but keep in mind they get put on the frame. We have those bars right there. And as we advance as well, right, the harp, this area right here from the bottom to the top of the machine, we're looking about 8 inches. And so as you advance your quilt, we do grow in the amount of fabric that we have back here. So as we're moving forward in our frame, we do tend to lose a little bit of quilting space. So that is definitely something you want to keep in mind when you're looking at an option, right? Am I doing charity quilts and, you know, I only do 2 or 3? Am I doing this as getting my feet wet, right? I just want to test it out. I don't know if this is really for me.
Right.
And I don't want to just jump right in. I think this is a really budget conscious machine. We do have a few differences between them outside of the throat space.
Yeah.
Could you tell me a little bit about what we have here in this Moxie?
Okay, sure. First and foremost, when you look at this, you're going to see these kind of like black handlebars. Kind of reminds you of something that you would ride when you're riding a bicycle, except for, you know, you ride your bicycle like this. But if you had to try to quilt doing something in this direction, it could work for you just fine. But this is pretty ergonomic here. You see that we have a little slant here, so you are comfortable when you're actually doing your driving. And when I say driving, that just means that you're actually quilting and you're doing your stitching. And driving is, like she said, it's equivalent to, like, you know, driving a car, driving a bicycle, or riding a bicycle. It becomes second nature. The more you keep practicing with it, the better that you feel. And on these handlebars, you have different buttons that you can press that makes your system, make your whole quilting system a lot easier. So you have a needle up, needle down, plus and minus that allows you to speed up your speed, slow it down, or your stitch length up or down. And then it has what I equate this back to old school times, right? When you get a tape recorder from back in the day, young people, I know you may not know what a tape recorder is, but guess what? I do. So when you look at that tape recorder on your iPhone maybe, or some type of phone, smartphone that you may have, you have a pause play system. So it looks like a little triangle with 2 little lines, and you press it once and that will allow the machine to start stitching. And then if you press it again, it's the pause, right? It stops the music, so therefore it'll stop your stitching. So that's one thing.
Yeah.
You want me to keep talking? Because, you know, girl, you know, I can talk forever about these machines. This is my heart.
I hear you. I'm right there with you. Something I did want to point out between the XL and the original Moxie, or the Moxie 15, just an FYI, when we talk about numbers, and I might have said this before, we're talking about throat space. So when I say 15, it's the throat space of the machine. When I say 18 and 20 and so on, it's going to be the throat space that we're talking about. So if you notice here, we have a small little display on our original Moxie, or the Moxie 15, and then if we look over to our Moxie XL, we have a digital display, so it's actually touchscreen. So there might be different generations. I am definitely in the generation of
young blood. Young blood, I'm telling you.
I'm definitely in the generation of, like, I like to be able to have a touchscreen. Like, that is me. I want to be able to, simple, easy, you know, and it's me. In this display, it is absolutely easy and easy to learn. I don't have the patience, but again, that is me personally. But it is absolutely something that you can control with your handlebars, right? And you can adjust your lighting, you can adjust your speed control, you can adjust whether you want to stitch in a certain mode, whether you want to stitch in manual mode, or if you want to stitch in regulated, right? So those are features that both machines have, but as far as toggling through that, this display is my preference. You can do it here. It's just with the handlebars.
Exactly.
Something else I did want to highlight, which the machines are on, so we can't really see it, but we did do a little bit of a lighting improvement. And like I said earlier, I'm very blind, so any lighting I can get is phenomenal. So the Moxie XL has additional lighting back here by the needle, and is fantastic. So when you're going to change that needle, if you're looking any sort of lint, right, lint does build up depending on what thread you're using. Some thread might be a little bit more linty than others. Having that additional lighting is fantastic. Did we have any questions, or did you have anything additional to add?
Can you let folks know that they can enter to win $50 gift card by commenting #HQTina.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll let you go ahead and take that away. Go ahead.
Okay, so I am probably like the best of you guys. You probably saw that I put my glasses on, right? And I didn't put my glasses on because I can't see the machine, but I have like a little cue card over here to the side. And whenever I need to see something, I need to just kind of like grab my glasses and put it on. But anyway, yeah, I want to tell you guys, I mean, I'm just like anybody else. I love a good deal. I like when I get little gifts. Somebody, Lily, who's on the production team, and you can't see her. She presented me with a gift today, brought me to tears, so thank you very much for that. But for some of you that are actually out there and you're like, hey, I want a bit of this love. I want a little bit of this HQ love, a little bit of this handy quilter love. I want to win a $50 gift certificate that I can redeem on handyquilter.com, right?
Yes.
All you have to do is put in the chat right now is going to be a hashtag. It looks like a tic-tac-toe board or a pound mark. Some
Pound
people
sign.
may know it, right? And then it'll just put hashtag HQ Tina. HQ. So stands for Handy Quilter. Hashtag H as in happy, Q as in quilt, and then Tina as in TINA for a $50 gift cert.
My production team, a little bit about me. I know a little bit of sign language. So as she was talking about the hashtag, it's hashtag HQ Tina, and it's HQTINA. So, and that's your chance to win a $50 gift card to handyquilter.com, which you can use for any gadgets. I don't think we have any around here. Well, I'll get some. So we can kind of show you what type of gadgets or feet that you can pick up. I know I personally am a big fan of the glide foot. I absolutely love that glide foot. That is a must-have. In my opinion, there's a bunch of different types of rulers. You know, you can never have enough needles, bobbins. There's bobbin trees, right? Because you have a lot of bobbins, different colors, different quilts that you're working on. You want to make sure that you have that stored neatly. Don't be like me. Do as I say, not as I do. I can be a little bit of a mess and chaotic when I quilt.
Yeah.
I just, storm everywhere, but definitely keeping that organized is really nice. A few of the rulers, thank you, Lily. I'll give you that.
Sure.
This right here is the Versatool, which I absolutely love as well because it's great for beginners, or if you just want to kind of dip your toes into ruler work and you haven't tried it before, you don't know if this is something that is for you. You have a bunch of different options. Of course, you will need to get to your ruler base, and that's so our ruler doesn't flop over, right? We want to keep it sturdy because our hand is going to be on that ruler.
Yeah. And so I just kind of want to add, when you're looking at your accessories, especially when you're looking at your rulers, first of all, you have to know that you're going to learn to love and embrace the rulers. Some people get a little bit timid whenever they are using their rulers, and you don't have to be. It's a wonderfully fun thing to do. I know we're going to talk about the machines. I'll get back to that and tell you a little bit more about the features that these Moxies actually have. But just looking at this ruler a little bit more closely, I'm holding the Baby Grand, and then you also have the Versatool, and the Versatool is right here.
You need to put your hand behind it so they
Oh, you can't see? Here you go.
Like an Instagram model. There you
Okay.
go.
All right. So, but anyway, here's your Versatool. One of the things that I absolutely love about the Versatool is it is exactly what it says it is. It's a versatile tool, right? So if you wanted to make the clamshells, if you wanted to make the arcs, it has a nice 4-inch curve right here at the top that you can use, and it has a stop on each side. So your actual needle is going to stop here, you travel over, and it's going to stop over here on the other side. Turn it to the other direction. Hey, these are wonderful. Put it more in front of me. Can you guys see this? Up here. All right. Do you find it? All right. There we go. So from here to here, you have a straight line. Again, a stop bar here, stop bar here. And behind all of that, you have registration marks that allows you the ease of moving and lining up whatever you're trying to create, like if it's a piano key. Yay, wonderful. Here's another side, another curve, just going the opposite direction. I won't spend a lot of time talking about this, but you can probably tell I'm pretty passionate about my rulers, right? And then I love this angle here. You can create small squares. You can create more piano keys. You can just accentuate triangles. Whatever you want to do, you can. But on both of these tools, you'll notice that it has a little notch right here. And also, this has a little notch. And a lot of people want to know, Belsy, like, what is this notch for? Well, you use the notch, you put it around the base of your foot. And I don't know if you guys could see it, but right down here, you'll have your foot, and it fits closely behind your foot. So you're able to use your rulers to maybe outline some of your appliques. So, if you ever try to drive and you're trying to do it the best way you can, and it doesn't come out as smooth as you want, this helps with stabilization, and it makes your life a lot simpler.
Yeah, I think it's great that you were able to show it on that foot. I do want to know, when we're using rulers, they do make a special foot for it. It's called the sure foot or a ruler foot, and that actually will fit right exactly in that little notch that Tina was talking about, right? So on the standard foot that the machine comes with, it is a little bit shorter, and so we just want to make sure that we have the right foot, so then we avoid any uh-ohs, and it might slip, right? We want to avoid any sort of casualties, right? We want to keep all our fingers too.
Right.
So making sure that we have the right foot, and that actually looks like, if I have it in
so
here.
as she's looking for it, the biggest difference is the foot that comes with it is like your basic hopping foot, right, on a sewing machine. And this is wonderful doing any type of quilting that you would like to do. But sometimes when you want to use this ruler work, safety is key, guys. So you want to make sure that you're protecting all your extremities, like Belsy said. And that one is going to measure, the sure foot is going to be like a 1/4 inch high. So therefore, you don't have to worry about, can we do it together?
Yeah, let's see.
You don't have to worry about it actually falling under or over, you bending. Okay, we're not doing very good with that. So anyway, when you have that 1/4 inch foot, it allows you to keep from slipping underneath the foot and on top of the foot. You don't want to break your needle or throw your machine out of timing. So do you want to talk about feet more? Or you want to talk about the machines?
Yeah, I actually just wanted to kind of compare. I'm going to show you what we would kind of consider what the height we're looking at for a standard, or what we call it, like a standard hopping foot, right? Yeah. Walk close to the camera. We'll both do it. How's that? So our standard foot, and then our sure foot.
Okay, good.
All right, so you can see the difference between both of the feet, right? One is definitely a little bit taller, and that's important when we're working with rulers, because again, we want to keep all our fingers. And we don't want to damage our machine, break our needle, hit the ruler, all that fun jazz. All right, let's go back. So, Tina, something that I don't think we've actually touched on is there a difference in speed between these two machines?
Yeah, absolutely. There is a slight difference in speed, and a lot of people want to know, why is it important to even know about speed? Well, first of all, you have to feel comfortable with driving the machine, and if you are comfortable driving at higher speeds, you may want to consider a different type of machine. But with the 15, you're going to get about, I think, where are we, about 2,100?
1,800.
1,800.
Yes.
Yeah, we have 1,800 for our basic Moxie machine. And when I say 1,500, that's like 1,500 stitches per minute. So please, when I say 1,500 stitches per minute, don't think that that's like super slow. That is a pretty,
it's a pretty
nice
fast
speed,
machine, yes.
right? I don't know how many people, I can't even tap on the table 1,500 stitches or times in a minute. So we have that. What else do we have?
Yeah, and on the Moxie XL, this is going to be 2,100 stitches per minute.
Yeah.
So as Tina was talking about speed, me personally, I do stitch a little bit faster than I probably should. And so these machines have an alarm that go off, and you'll hear it, and it will start beeping at you. So that's how I knew right away, as a show of tell, of what machine that I was looking at, especially if you do a lot of free motion. You want to make sure that you are staying consistent in that speed. These machines are completely stitch regulated But if we're going faster than that set speed, that's where we might be running into a few different stitch lengths, right? And so that's really what it comes down to with stitch regulation, is making sure on a machine that does not have any sort of stitch regulation, we're working, for example, a domestic machine, is keeping your consistent speed with the way you're moving your fabric and your foot on your machine, right? And so with this, I don't have to worry about it unless you're a Speedy Gonzalez like me.
So, and when you're using these machines, for me, the one part that I love about these machines is that they're lightweight. So for someone who may have difficulties just moving machines back and forth, you'll feel that this is the lightest machine that we actually carry. You know, we already talked about it being budget friendly, but the biggest thing that I have to talk about is that it doesn't take up a lot of space. You know, even if you're not considering a budget, you may have just so much space that you have to work with. And so if that's the consideration that you have to make, then maybe something like a 15 might be right where you need to be. I consider this probably a wonderful, especially entry-level machine for people who's just now learning how to quilt. I consider this also a great machine for people who are retiring and they just want to consider something. Hey, you know, fun tidbit. I was out on social media and I heard a little bit of something that kind of alarmed me, but yet it's something I kind of wanted to bring out because health is a good thing to talk about at any point in time. There are people out there who've gone through different things in life. Your stress level is up, so much is going on. And, you know, whether you're retiring, whether you're a teacher like I was and you're trying to get work in after work, trying to get a little quilting in, you kind of stress yourself out. You know, you have a lot on your plate. You're trying to get so many things done. And I just found out that women underneath the age of 50, between 40 and 50, the obesity is becoming a situation. High blood pressure is becoming a situation. But the other part of it is that stroke is on the rise. And so for me, I think that when you're considering and you find a craft that you enjoy doing, this is your outlet. So when you look at these machines, it's so much more than just buying a machine. Like we said, we're part of a community. And then now you can just add on top of all of this that, hey, this is my stress relief. This is how I get to decompress. These machines are not ever intended to kind of like, you know, completely wig you out. It's like, oh my goodness, I can't control this. Just come to a class like I will be at Mole Queens next week, and I'll be teaching people. And, you know, my ultimate goal is to build confidence in you guys, to let you know that you can do what I do, probably in a much shorter period of time. So, but yeah, so that's that. Yeah.
So I did hear you talk about a space limitation, right?
Absolutely.
And so I wanted to talk a little bit. As you can see, we have two machines here, but we do have another machine that is not on display here. It's called the Moxie ST, and that is the stationary machine. When we say ST, again, it stands for stationary, and you'd actually be looking about 18 inches. It is on a table, and that is something to consider too if you are used to doing your free motion quilting on your domestic machine and you're ready to take that step where you're looking for having the stitch regulation, right? But space is something to consider, and that's your comfort level, right? Instead of driving the machine, you want to drive your fabric. And I have actually, yes, it looks like we have a question.
What thread do you guys like to use on your longarm machines? And repeat the question for me.
Absolutely. So we just had a question, and it was, what type of thread do you like to use on your long arm machine? I use a couple different types of threads. I definitely really like the Superior thread. The So Fine thread is fantastic. I have actually used Madeira thread as well. I have found that is very linty, but I do like the stitch it puts down. I would say as far as thread goes, it's your preference. Depending on what you're working on, what you're trying to look, as far as your look to accomplish, it really comes down to personal preference, right? I might like So Fine and you might not. I don't know. Tina, do you have a preference in your thread?
I actually am a little bit different. I do enjoy So Fine, but I will tell you that I am probably a little bit different. I do a lot of t-shirt quilts, and I know that my quilts are a little bit rugged. and they're meant to just kind of like go through a beating. So one of the things that I like to create, well, especially, and I teach this all the time, when you get started, a 40 weight thread is probably where you want to be. So when I say 40 weight threads, great 40 weight threads would be probably your Omnis.
Mm-hmm.
And Omni is also by Superior Threads. And hey, Superior Threads, thank you for your educational site also. It's really great when you don't know what size needle or what size thread do I need to get. They have a completely exhaustive list to kind of tell you, hey, this is great for cottons. This is great for your silks. These types of threads work best here. Use metallics here. You know, it gives you so much information. But as far as my favorite, I would say Omni for my t-shirt quilts. One, because it gives me more of a flat look, and it also makes me feel like this is more of a cotton thread, not a polyester or a trilobal type of thread. And the other thread, whenever I kind of want to spice it up a little bit, I actually use glide thread.
So you spicy?
Yeah, no. So, but anyway, yeah, I use a glide thread, and that comes out nicely too. And it's probably, it has a little bit of a sheen to it, but it also appears to be maybe a little bit thinner when you're actually quilting with it. Mm-hmm. And I want it to have a little bit of a, you know, kind of like a little sass to it. But in the same sense, I don't want you to always focus on the actual stitching as opposed to whatever I'm working on. So my grandmother said something to me when I asked her one day. I asked her about the child that she loves the most.
Oh my.
Yeah. And
that's a loaded question.
It is a loaded question. It is because I was thinking that as I got to know her as an older person, I realized that she was loving this one particular child of hers a lot. And I thought maybe she had a preference. And I said, hey, Nana, which child do you love the most? And she said, well, baby, I don't love one child over the other, but I love the child that needs me the most in any situation. So when you ask us about thread, it really is dependent on the quilt that you're using. It may require something that's flat. It may require something's more sheen. You're just going to love the thread the most that you need the most at any point in time on any given quilt.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate that take. I think we were talking about space, and we were talking about the ST. So we do have another machine called the Moxie ST. I don't think we've talked about frame sizes, right? So we have the head of the machine here, but these machines do come on frames.
They do.
So we do have two different types of frames that we can put these machines on. One being the little foot frame. If you want to tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, let's discuss what is a frame, right? So we always say, hey, it's a frame. It's not a picture frame. A frame is going to look more like a table, and it has bars on it that allows the machine to actually, and a tracking system on it, that allows the machine to move back and forth. Right here, you'll see that there are different types of wheels here, and it can actually rotate back and forth. If you notice, I just took this little C-clamp off. That's really called a channel lock. Yep. And it kind of locks your machine in place so you can't move it as easily anymore. So I'm sorry, what was your question? You know, it didn't take long for me to get off just that quick.
We were talking about frames.
Yeah. So as far as with the frame for a Moxie, you're going to be a little bit different. You have the opportunity to get an 8-foot frame up to a 10-foot frame, and that's going to come on something that's called a loft frame, right?
Yep.
Or your other option would be to get a little foot frame. So maybe you don't have 8 feet that you could work with, right? But you have 5 feet that you can work with. The difference between the loft frame and the lift frame is on the loft frame, you can put this machine there. It's going to go on the track system, and it's going to move back and forth freely. Or you can get the little foot frame. Mm-hmm. And the little foot frame, you know, for those of you know me, you know I love my embroidery work. And I use a hoop. And I put, you know, fabric, hats, put all types of things in a hoop. And I'm able to stitch out whatever I want. Well, it's the same situation for here, right? It has a hooping system. You put your fabric onto the hooping system, you lay it flat, you clamp it in place, and then you're able to quilt.
Mm-hmm.
From that point. Yeah.
And what I love about, the diversity of the types of frames that we have, right? So the loft frame comes in, you can get it in, well, it comes as an 8-foot frame, but you can add a 2-foot extension to make it 10 feet. Something I did want to know about that is, yes, let's say we have 8 feet, and that's, all the space that I can have. We do want to make sure that you have at least a 10-foot room or space, because you do need walking space around your machine, especially if you need, to go ahead and thread it, or just to make sure you can access all the sides of your machine. Something that I do love about being able to move the machine on our frame is our casters. Adding casters on that frame makes such a difference, right? So if I'm space limited and I need to tuck it away while I am not using my machine, having casters on my frame make a big difference. And at some point, that was my reality, having to pull the machine out when I was using it and then tucking it away. And having those casters made it so easy. I mean, I'm not that tall. I'm not. Maybe a little bit bigger than I want to be, but I'm 5'3", and that's a big,
so
heavy
you guys
machine.
know, I took my shoes off so that she could wear shoes, so that we can kind of look like the same height. But okay, here we are.
Yeah, so those are heavy pieces of machinery,
Yeah.
right? And so being able to move it with ease was very important for me as well. So adding casters on your frame is definitely, I think, in my opinion, and in my checklist, right? It's a must-have. The Littlefoot frame is definitely a little different. It is, as Tina was saying, a hooping system, but we also have something called the Little Buddy, and actually is included in that Littlefoot frame. So you could essentially use it as a railing system. I want to say with the Littlefoot, we're about 84 inches, right? Maybe about twin.
84, yeah.
In frame size or quilting space. But what you could do, and I love this question when I'm at shows or talking to a quilter that is looking to make that decision. What is the right fit for me? And so the question I get asked is, what frame can make the largest quilt? Well, funny enough, because of the hooping system, the Littlefoot frame, in all technicality, you could do up to a king size quilt on something like that. You would have to quilt one area first and then rehoop it. But, it is, if you're space limited, that is really your best alternative. And again, you can do a king size quilt on something like that, which is fantastic when you don't have that space.
Exactly, because people who live in Europe and people who live in South America, sometimes that space is just a little bit limited. So you need to be able to get something so that you can continue, your passion, or you can continue your business, or you want to be able to do volunteer work for someone. You still can make it work in the space that you have. So just don't think that, I can't get this, I don't have enough space. We have, Handy Quilter's been pretty smart in thinking about you ahead of time to make sure that you have the ability to put something in your home and feel comfortable. Question.
Can folks, we've been advertising the number for the trade up program. Can you share a little bit on expectations on if somebody does want to trade up their machine? How does it work?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a great question. So the question was, how does the trade up program work? So really my advice is to call that number. If you have an older system, the sales team that is on call, again, with our participating retailers, they will walk you through as to what we could offer off a certain model of the machine. And, I want to clarify that it's not just on a Handy Quilter unit. So let's say, you did have the quilter's bug, is what I call it, right? It's so contagious. Once you have it, it's so hard to let go. I
just can't let it go.
It's been 10 years, and I am very, very, very happy in my journey, and I continue to grow every day. And with all of that said,
So Belsy and I had dinner last night, and I had to ask questions about this trade-up program because this was something that, I was wondering, hey, am I applicable for it? Because maybe I might want to consider one day to trade one of my machines to get something else. And then I thought about some of my friends who do not own a Handy Quilter machine, and Honestly, a couple of them are a little bit frustrated and they want to say, hey, you know what? I want to get on board with this handy quilter, type of fever, because it seems like you're getting so much more out of yours than I'm getting out of mine.
Yeah.
So would those people who own a different machine other than a handy quilter machine, Belsy, would they be able to get one?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
So we actually are taking trade-ups on certain different models, right? Different brands. So if you have found yourself at a standstill with your current setup and you say, you know what, this isn't working for me. I really want to join the Handy Quilter family. And, these people, and I'm not biased. I came from a completely outside perspective, and that's why I fell in love with this company, is that everybody has always been so helpful. Whether I just, had to pick up a phone call or the phone to call corporate office, or, our Handy Quilter retailers. They are such a big resource. And being able to walk to my local retailer or drive to my local retailer, walk in and say, hey, I need this help. I'm having issues with XYZ. Our retailers are fully capable and trained to help you and assist you and walk you through that path as to what it is that you're looking for to fit your needs. But if you have any further questions on the trade-up program, I really call that number that is on the site, and our sales team will go ahead and be happy to guide you in the right direction and answer any additional questions.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a way to quilt a king-size quilt on a smaller frame?
Is there a way to quilt a king-size quilt on a smaller frame? So, great question. Yes, if you're going all the way down to, or if you have, as Belsy so eloquently put it, if you're space limited and you only have like 5 feet that you can work with, well, yeah, you have that hooping system. And the first option is to be able to you'll put a portion of your quilt down. You'll quilt it, either you free motion it, or you can, we haven't talked about it, there's a Pro Stitcher if you wanted to add computerized quilting to this. You can definitely still use that. The only thing that you would have to do is just, once you finish quilting in the space that you have allotted, then you will just take your quilt off, you lift it up off of the frame, and then you just kind of scooch it over a little bit. You place it back, and then you clamp it, and then you continue on where you left off. Yeah. So that's one option.
Absolutely. Yeah. So to piggyback on that question, just to clarify, I was not sure if the question was, is there a smaller frame than the 5-foot frame? So for our systems and our machines, the 5-foot frame is going to be your smallest frame system that we have. But as Tina was saying, it is fully capable of doing a king-size quilt. So if we are looking for something smaller than a 5-foot, I would definitely call the number and see what options you have. But 5-foot really is, great.
Pretty ample.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's pretty ample. Now, the opposite is, if you would prefer not to have to re-hoop your machine, or not in your machine, your actual quilt sandwich, you can move into that loft frame, which both the Moxie XL and the Moxie, you can put it on there. And that's going to give you the 8 feet that you could work with. But you're like, hey, but I have a king size, Tina. I want to get a little bit more. So yes, you can just buy a 2-foot extension and put that onto your machine. Guys, important thing. Yes, it's great. You can have your service technicians or your retailers come out and put everything together, but these machines are pretty user friendly. There's an app out there called the Built app. B as in boy, L as in Larry. Am I spelling this wrong? B-I-L-T, right, B-I-L-T app. And you could go out there and then you can absolutely put some of these things together for yourself. But like I was saying, I didn't lose my train of thought. You can add that 2-foot extension, and then that gives you like 120 inches. And think about it in the terms of, you can put this king size quilt on there, and even if your king size quilt seems to be a little bit wider, it's okay, because usually it's not going to be any longer than 108. That's your typical king quilt. So then just turn that little quilt over to its side, and instead of stitching from left to right, top to bottom, you're just going to be quilting from its side and moving down. So yeah, you have options. There's no way to get out of it. You have options.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, is there anything else that you wanted to share about the Moxie family of machines?
I mean, I guess my final words really is, if you are, ready to take that opportunity and bring your quilting to a whole nother level, is the Moxie XL and the Moxie 15. They are able to work with our automation system. It's called Pro Stitcher Lite, and it's fantastic because it really takes your quilting to a whole nother level. And I'll be completely honest here, I am a Pro Stitcher girly through and through. I love Pro Stitcher. It has really elevated my quilting experience, and it has elevated my quilting, right? And so being able to set up, and I love having my blocks and individual different designs in each block. I tend to be a little detail oriented, and so having that opportunity and having the ability to do that, and you can absolutely do that with free motion, but I'm a Pro Stitcher girly. Like I love it.
So just like she said, Pro Stitcher Lite, it is a phenomenal system. It is a Windows-based system that allows you to have about 200 designs already preloaded on that. And yes, I did say 200 designs.
That's a lot of designs.
It's a lot of designs. It gives you a lot of flexibility. It allows you to design your area. It allows you to design a block. So custom quilting, if you think that you can't, you can, right? You can do free motion. You can do ruler work, or you can use Pro Stitcher. And when you combine all three together, that's when you really are in the quilting land of happiness, right? So if you are a person who enjoys just kind of thinking a little bit outside of the box and thinking inside of the box, then I think that's the best thing for you. Oh. Plus, it has so many edge-to-edge designs on there. They suggest different designers, like Mary Beth is one here over with Pro Stitcher, that she has plenty of designs out there. We have another one, Iris. Hey, girl. She's another handy quilter educator who does a lot of designs. I do a lot of designs, mainly piecing designs like the one you see in the back. And Brianne, are they able to purchase that design? I don't know. We can talk about that a little bit later.
So Tina, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, no.
I wanted to ask you said it comes with 200 designs. Mm-hmm. So can I add designs to that?
Easily, right? So you could always go out there. Like I said, Handy Quilter suggests different people, different designers that are out there, like Iris or Mary, or there's several others. You can go through Pro Stitcher and pull down those designs. You can purchase a subscription, and once you purchase that subscription, you're able to download designs easily. So you can either download them over the internet. Some of you say, oh, I don't like the cloud. That's okay, because they give you the option of downloading it, and you can use your USB stick. And if you see on this side somewhere, there's a USB place that you can put your stick, and then you're able to just pop your designs on there and continue to stitch out without any problems. I'm trying to think. There was something else really major I wanted to talk about.
I'm so sorry.
I do. I wanted to talk about this because this begins two things. We want to talk about bobbins, and I also wanted to talk about, with this throat space. I said it a little bit earlier. You get about 13 inches, this is what we agreed on, 13, 14 inches of quiltable space. On the Moxie XL, when we are as quilters, we usually quilt our blocks into an 8, 10, 12-inch block, something that's manageable, easy for us to work with. Well, you can actually put that down, you can customize it, and this allows you to be able to do what you want without having to advance your quilt. You don't have to keep rolling. You have it all in one spot. You work in one thing. It's kind of like a coloring book. You get a design and you want to color a whole design. Well, then you can do this like one page at a time. It's really great. Or you can do edge to edge. You can start from one side and move all the way to the other. And you're able to do that without having to advance your quilt too much, because your designs could be 7 to 10, 12 inches big. And it just makes life a lot easier. So, hey, don't fail. Question?
So we have a question that they're saying they're thinking of trading up, trading in a different brand, a non-Handy Quilter brand, to get Handy Quilter, Longarm, and Pro Stitcher, and they've purchased designs on other websites. What file format should they convert those designs, or can they, to put it on Pro Stitcher?
Yes, yes, absolutely. So the question was, I have a different brand and I'm looking to trade up and own a Handy Quilter system. What type of file format do I need for those designs? So we actually take a few different types of file formats, and please forgive me because I'm not going to remember all of them, but I know QLI is definitely one of them. I don't know if you know at the top of your head.
I was waiting. Yes, we have HQV and HQF. So V is for HQV as in a vector file, and then HQF as in an HQ format style. So yeah, those are the three systems.
Awesome.
And for those of you who are thinking about that trade up program and you have those files already, the one that's probably widely seen and used is QLI. So don't worry, you can grab all those files and just transfer them right over here to Handy Quilter. I'm telling you, they thought about everything.
They really did.
Yeah, they did.
They really did.
We're going to take a quick pause, let them know.
All
We're
righty.
going to turn off the cameras and mute the mics so that we can swap in the Amaras, but we'll come back in like 4 minutes.
All right.
Tell them to wait for 4 minutes.
Awesome. So we're just getting our cue, letting us know that we're going to take a quick little break, but we'll be back in about 4 to 5 minutes. So please stay tuned.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're letting Belsy and Tina take a quick break. And so I'm here just to remind you guys about our promos that are going on right now. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name's Kim Sandberg. I'm the education manager here at Handy Quilter. I have the best job in the world. Let me tell you, I get to teach everybody how to use the amazing long arms that we have. So just a reminder about what our promo bundle or promo pick your bundle that is going on right now. It's really fantastic. If you purchase the long arm right now, you get to pick your own add-on special bundle. So we have 3 different options to choose from. Number 1 is the highlight. So if your quilting studio is maybe a little bit dark, you can add some really amazing lighting to your studio with a highlight. I have a highlight in my studio, and let me tell you, I don't have any windows in my studio, and it just makes it wonderful to be able to quilt in there. So the highlight is choice number 1. Choice number 2 is a roll of batting from Loft Supply Batting and a thread bundle. So this is a double. We're really excited about this one. You get an entire roll of batting. Think of how many quilts you can finish with that. And then you get a really amazing bundle of thread from Superior Threads, so that you'll be off and running, finishing more of your quilts right away with your brand new long arm. And then our final bundle is if you're adding a pro stitcher. So when you get your pro stitcher, it comes with a lot of fantastic designs, but there's always a few more that we want. So we're throwing in a really great coupon. I believe it's for $500. Everybody's giving me a big nod here behind the camera. It's $500 to spend at Pro Stitcher Patterns. Now, Pro Stitcher Patterns is on the ProStitcher.com website. You can access it right from your Pro Stitcher tablet, which is fantastic. You can go on there and you can find that perfect design to finish that quilt. So remember, 3 different options.
Which one would you pick?
Oh, so I just got asked, which one would I pick? Well, you know what? If I was brand new to long arming and I just wanted some great supplies to get myself off and rolling, I'd definitely pick the batting and thread bundle. If my studio needed a little extra light, I'd go for the highlight. And if I was adding a Pro Stitcher to an existing machine, I would absolutely take advantage of the Pro Stitcher Patterns bundle, because having those extra designs is just really fantastic to have those right at your fingertip. Even though there's tons of great designs that come with Pro Stitcher, trust me, there's always that project where you're like, for example, I just did a really cute quilt for a nephew for a graduation present. It was a golf quilt. So of course I had to find a fun golf themed design. So being able to go to Pro Stitcher Patterns, download it directly onto my Pro Stitcher tablet, just like that, I had a fantastic design and I was off and running. So remember, if you are interested in adding one of these awesome bundles to your new machine that you want to purchase, you can give us a call at the number on the screen. We have our amazing sales managers standing by, waiting to take your call. Even if you're just curious about getting a quote, finding out about what it would be to add that new machine to your quilting studio, be sure and give us a call. So let's see, I'm just checking here to see if there was anything else. I think I got everything else taken care of. We really appreciate you all tuning in today and joining us for this live. We're having so much fun with this. Belsy and Tina are just getting ready to come back on screen. They've had a second to catch their breath. We've got the Amara machines up here and ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic back to Tina, and we're going to let Tina and Belsy come back on up here and take over and talk to you guys about these amazing machines for the rest of
Awesome.
Hey,
Hello.
welcome back. Okay, no. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you had a fabulous time hanging out with Kim just for a couple of seconds, telling you about all the amazing bundles that are out there. Before we keep going on, I want to say, don't forget to put hashtag, #, whatever you want to call it, tic-tac-toe board, HQ Tina, and get yourself in a drawing to win $50 gift certificate.
Yep. We'll do that again. We'll do it in sign language one more time. We'll do hashtag HQTINA. So make sure you enter it in the comments so you have the chance to win a $50 gift card. Yay! All right. So it looks like we've changed scenery a little bit, right? We have the Amara family here. So on my side, we're looking at the Amara 20.
And I have the Amara 24.
And as we had mentioned prior, when we say the number or the name of, for example, Amara 20, we're talking about the throat space. So right here, I have 20 inches from the back of the machine to the back of my needle. And Miss Tina has 24 from the back of her machine to the back of her needle, which is great, especially when you are looking to maximize your quilting space. We were talking off camera earlier this morning about quilting areas, and please remind me, what was our exact quilting space that we had for the Amara 20 and 24 when we're finishing a block, or I guess block space?
Block space. Well, if you're looking over on the Amara 20, you have the 20 inches of throat space, but you're probably really realistically working to about 15 inches. You can get even really up to 16 inches of actual quiltable space. Whereas when you're on the 24, you're going to have a little bit more, right? So instead of 24 inches for the throat space, you're going to have about maybe about 19 inches of quilt space. And the big question most people said, well, you said that it's a 24 inch from one point to the next, and then now you're saying it's 19 from here to there. Well, remember, we're going to put these machines on frames, and we put them on frames. There are poles that are attached to the frame. And just like in some type of pulley system, maybe George Jetson age type of thing, you'll see that the quilt is going to wind up around the pole. So as it continues to wind up around this pole, guess what? It begins to grow. All of the quilt that you've already quilted keeps growing a little bit. So then that leaves you from here to about here to actually quilt when it's at its fullest. So that's the main thing. That's the main thing of what the quilting space is all about.
Fantastic. Yep. Being able to have a larger throat space does allow us, again, when we want to add, and even with free motion, but when we add the automation system or Pro Stitcher, right, sometimes we have some designs that are a little bit larger, and you can always, in the automation system, edit and, really configure it to what you're trying to do. And I'm just going to come out and say it, I guess, time is money, right? And so the less time that I'm spending advancing, the better for me, just because I want to make sure that I'm, and this is just me personally, right? I want to make sure I can produce, and I am maximizing my time. And so that's really where we start looking at the Amara families, is if I am looking to have a machine that can be a bit faster and be, I'm looking into starting a business, right? That's really what I would start considering. The Amara 20 and Amara 24 are 2,500 stitches per minute, which is significantly
more.
700 is the difference?
About that.
700.
Which machine.
Yeah. Between the XL and the Amara 20. So that is significantly faster. And I think we were talking about something that I had never, it just completely went over my head. I had never thought about, is micro quilting.
Yeah.
And yes, Tina brought something to my attention. Would you like to tell us what you
do? So, long story short, when I first started learning how to do a little bit of free motion quilting, I kept hearing a lady by the name of Christina. I think we may have heard of her name, Christina. She's a phenomenal free motion quilter that many of us have seen right here on this channel. And I have to say, she was always talking about micro stitching, micro stippling. And I was like, what is this whole micro thing all about? Well, sometimes whenever you're quilting something, you want to consider your stitches per inch, right? So whenever you're over here on the Amara 20 or the 24, your stitches per inch, you're going to get anywhere from 4 stitches to up to 24 stitches. Whereas if you go over to the Moxie, the Moxie, the greatest that you're going to be able to get is probably 18 stitches per inch. Tina, why on earth would I want 24 stitches in an inch? Well, sometimes whenever we're quilting something, especially when we have wall hangings, pillows, little small projects that we want to do on the machine, and we want to go in and just pretty densely quilt something out, well, then sometimes if we're doing like these really large stitches that kind of looks like something that you might have hand quilted, like 8 stitches, 9 inch, it doesn't look so smooth and so pretty. So, but if you can get up to 24 stitches per inch and it's doing its thing, believe it or not, and people in my classes, I've tested it out, they're like, oh, no, I want control, Tina. I want control. And I'm like, yeah, no, go with it. Increase your speed. Believe me, you're going to round out those curves. It's going to quilt out a lot prettier than what you think. And on top of it, you can make a quick turn. You go in, you do a quick pause and come out of that turn, make a nice little curve. And it could be so tiny, but whenever you make a really tiny design, you don't want really big stitches. Big stitches looks like you're trying to put together a puzzle and it's jagged as opposed to making a nice curved line. So for me, yeah, that's a huge advantage of having an Amara 20 or 24 because it allows you the ability to have even smoother quilting when you're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I heard you say a key word there that made me think was control, right? And so something that I absolutely love when I'm quilting is being able to maneuver my handlebars, right? So the Amara 20 and the Amara 24 have adjustable handlebars, which I am going into blindly, but I can show you as it toggles. Right.
I did one direction.
There we go. Yeah. Having that control, right. If you're doing your micro stitching, I've seen people, even, with free motion, right. We have our hands right there. And if that's what we're used to, that's kind of what we're trying to do. And we want to be as safe as possible. So being able to maneuver this handlebar and bring it in as close as I need it to be is absolutely fantastic because it gives me that control that I am looking for. And it feels a bit more natural. Right. And so even when you're doing ruler work, right? You want to make sure one hand's on your machine or on your ruler, and then your other one is guiding the machine.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
Those toggling handlebars make such a big difference, and that is something that is found on our Amara 20 and 24, and so on.
And can I add to that too?
Yeah.
So she already has this, so I'm just going to take her machine. Whenever you're doing your micro stippling, on these machines, you can easily press the buttons, but notice how when your machine is down in this position, you can kind of pull your thumb out. And for me, whenever I have my handlebars there here, this is how I'm driving. But if I'm actually doing my free motion quilting, then I actually go down and under, and then my thumbs come out and they kind of angled towards the actual quilt that I'm working on. So then therefore I feel like I have a little bit, again, more control when I'm doing something because I am now looking at what I'm working on. So it just makes it a lot easier.
Absolutely. And like I said, that keyword control, when you said it immediately, I was like, that is one of my favorite features among many, right?
Yes.
But that is definitely one of my favorite features. It's the little things in life that make the difference. And that right there really is a selling point for me. It is what sold me on my machine and my system. And having that control is definitely a big factor for many of us, many quilters. Yeah. Did we have any questions before we move on to additional?
Why would you get a Amara 20 versus an Amara 24? Like, somebody's kind of on the fence.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, why would I consider an Amara 20 over an Amara 24? For me, is plain and simple throat space. right? As I've already mentioned before, I'm a business owner, and whenever I'm quilting things, Belsy has so eloquently said again, time is money. And so for me, a lot of the quilt designs that I choose, I either resize them to about 7 inches, or they may be even smaller to about 5 inches. And that just basically means that that design is going to quilt from here to here, whether it's going to be in a block or whether it's going to be from edge to edge. But if it's edge to edge, I am quilting an entire row that might be 7 inches, could be 5, right? And then I'm able to start over. Once I got from this side, I'm over to the other side, and I'm going to quilt again the next row. Notice how I said I'm automatically moving over to the beginning of my second row, and in some cases, the beginning of my third row, right? I'm doing this without having to advance my quilt. So for me, time is money. I'm able to quilt more in a given space on a 24 than I am on a 20. Now, the opposite, why would you consider in a 20 over 24? If you want me to talk about it, I can.
Go right ahead.
Okay. So for some of you, you're like, hey, Tina, 24 inches is just like, this is too big of a machine for me. And I totally get that too. You still, like I said, you can decrease your sizes of your quilt size or of whatever you might have. But for me, why would I consider the 20? Well, if I might, and I am at times, because sometimes I quilt on a stool. I might be a little bit, challenged with my height, and I like to keep everything close to me anyway. Then I get the 20, and I will keep everything a little bit closer. And so when I get the 20, I feel like, hey, I can do this. This is something that fits in my space a little bit better because it's going to be a different frame that you're putting it on. The 20 is going to have one size frame, and Belsy can talk to you a little bit more about that, as opposed to the 24, which is going to be kind of like a chunkier, beefier kind of girl. So.
Yes, absolutely. And it's funny because we're long armors, right? But I mean, my arms are long, right? So having that, to piggyback on your question or the question, why would I do an Amara 20 over a 24 is the space that, right? And making sure that it's closer. I know, again, I love the infinity and the largest space. Time is money for me. And I had to get what is called the super leaders, right? Because it was hurting my back, having to stretch over, and I'm short. Again, I'm a very short person. So that is a big reason, right, why we would consider the Amara over a larger or longer throat space machine. As Tina was saying, they are in 2 different frames. So we have the Studio 3 frame, and then we have the Gallery 2 frame. And so we do have, again, they're within the Amara family, but we do have 2 different types of frames because one is a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier, and so we do need a sturdier frame. And so with the Gallery 2 frame, our poles are actually going to be a little bit thicker. They're about 2 inches. With our Studio 3 frame, we have 1.5 inches pole, I want to say. And so the pole that I'm talking about is the pole that actually goes and holds your quilt, and right, you have your tension pole as well. So that is, what we're looking at. The Gallery 2 frame, you could actually go up to a 14-foot setup. It comes as a 10 or a 12-foot frame, but you can always add the 2-foot extension, right? So if you're like, I want a king-size quilt that is going to drape over my bed, that 14-foot frame or system, it might be the option for you, right? Our Studio 3 frame, our Studio 3 frame, you can do a 10 or 12-foot setup. You could set it up a little bit smaller. So they do come in 4-foot sections. So we could do a 6-foot with the 2-foot extension. We could do a 4-foot, and we can do 8, 10, and 12. Yes, ma'am.
Q16 owners in the comments.
Yes.
Can you speak to a little bit like what features they might get with an Amara 20 that they don't have on HQ? HQ16?
Oh, absolutely. So to highlight on some of the features that the Amara 20, that the HQ16, the original HQ16 does not have, one of the biggest things, again, outside of the handle, that for me is lighting. I need lighting. Again, blind as a bat. The Amara 20s have some really nice LED lighting, and the Amara 24 on the throat of the machine. Not only that, we have lighting right at the needle. We have a laser light pointer, which is fantastic when you're lining up any sort of design with your Pro Stitcher. If I'm doing any sort of ruler work, right, that laser light is going to show me right where my needle is going to drop, and the lighting in the bobbin. So that made such a big difference for me, is having that lighting in the bobbin, right, when I'm going to clean it out. I can see all that lint that I've built up, or, you know, going to change my bobbin itself if I've run out of thread. It made such a big difference. And like I had said, it's the little things in life. I don't think I have any scissors here, but a little minder collars, I believe.
Okay, the official name, is the minder collar. And unfortunately, all the people that I've taught, we've called it everything, short of, you call it a magnetic collar. I have even been known to say a dog collar. But either way, it is that you have this little magnetic strip in which you can, Lily, I actually think there's some scissors right here.
Oh, fantastic.
Okay. We can show you how
I will take this. Thank you.
it actually works. So I have a pair of scissors. They're made of metal. And of course, we have the magnetized collar that's right here. So let's look at this very carefully. When I say this, when you go over here and you try to put the scissors over here, they can easily fall. Tina, I thought you said it was magnetic. Well, it is. Over here, it is magnetic, right? What is the difference? Well, the difference is you're looking at two different sides of this machine. On this side, you're going to see the entire thread path of where you're going to go. And the last thing you want to do is to put scissors right over here as you're trying to stitch out, right? Mm-hmm. So, but then when you come over here, or actually, let me just show you. I just need it, to show me people in Arkansas. I'm showing you right now. Here we go. It's still magnetized on the opposite side. So when you put it over here, you're able to have these scissors. You can grab them at will whenever you need to snip threads or do whatever you might need to do. You can put it there. Mm-hmm. And it just makes it pretty fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. I know when I'm quilting, I'm constantly, when I'm ready to cut my threads, I am constantly looking for my scissors and being able to have it right there accessible. At times I will clip it on me. I have a little clip that I can clip my scissors to, but having that magnetic strip is absolutely fantastic. Another thing about cutting your threads, it made me think of it, is the Amara 20 and the Amara 24 have a tie-off function, which, I love. I don't do any sort of quilting for quilt shows or anything like that. I'm not as talented as Miss Tina here.
Oh, no.
Yes, so I just use my tie-off function, and it's perfect. It has a little button that I can press, and it's great because depending on the type of thread that you're using or the type of fabric that you're using, you might want less stitches in that tie off, right? And so I can do up to 6, 5, 4, right? Whatever my perfect spot is for me, I can go ahead and do that in my machine. So having that tie off function, I don't have to worry about burying my threads. And those that do tie off and bury their threads, I mean, good on you. You are doing so much better than I am. But I am definitely, the more bells and whistles, the tie-off function, all of that I can get and do quicker and easier, again, because for me, time is money. I absolutely love it.
Well, in short, what Belsy is trying to tell you is that when she's doing the tie-off, it is, she's not looking for the perfect quilt, but she is looking to complete a quilt. Mm-hmm. And we all know that completing your quilt is far better than tops just laying around, never really ever being appreciated for what you intended it to be. So again, when you're looking at these machines, think about, hey, what am I going to be able to do in order to get my jobs done quickly? Jobs, whether I'm being paid or jobs that I am planning to do for myself. Mm-hmm. Belsy.
Yes,
believe it or not, I didn't forget something. Was there anything else that was different that you wanted to talk about between the Simply and then also this machine?
The Moxie?
No, like
Oh,
the differences between?
the HQ16.
Yeah.
Yes, actually. So our newer machines, or our current machines that we have, they actually have. And I mean, I might butcher this, but I call it a plate cover on the back in our bobbin area, right? So as far as cleaning and servicing the machine and making sure that I can clean out that lint, we can use the canned air, right, to clean it out. On the older systems, unfortunately, we didn't have that plate right there. So you definitely, using canned air is a no-no. You might have heard that already out there. We don't want to use that because we can actually push all those little dust bunnies into the back of the machine. Right. And we completely want to avoid that, right? We don't want to get it gunked up or anything like that. And so once we clean that little bobbin area, I always make it a habit, every quilt or every bobbin, when I change it out, is to do a little drop of oil there in my bobbin casing area. It actually has like a little scarf that I could drop my oil in, and I'm good to go. So maintenance on these machines, as an individual that is quilting, it's quite simple. It's not something of the other world where you have multiple places that you need to oil. As far as lubrication and servicing your machine, retailers are well trained to do your service on your machines. And so they actually go in and open up your machine, because there are different areas in the machine that you do have to lubricate, but we leave those up to the professionals. I just want to go ahead and get all my quilting done as quick as possible and as much as possible.
Yeah, so Belsy's completely right. Let me, I think we have a question, or do you want me to continue? Okay, so Belsy's completely right. So for some of you, you've gone to class and you've wondered, okay, I'm getting confused. Canned air, no air. What am I supposed to do? Do I need to use a vacuum cleaner? Do I need to use, first and foremost, if you have wiring that you can see, it's probably always a good idea not to use canned air. If you don't see a plate underneath your machine, then I would say then no canned air, right? If you can see the lights, you can see whatever. Everyone's situation is a little bit different. Every owner has a different machine, and that's totally wonderful and great. Now, with that being said, she talked about service. Well, you don't have to get these machines serviced all the time. And that's a wonderful thing. I learned that, there's a hook system underneath that we put our drop of oil in. But more importantly, every now and then, every couple of years or so, I think it's like 10, 15 million stitches.
15 million.
Yeah, that's when you have to have somebody, or you would prefer to have someone come out and actually do maintenance on the inside of your machine. And it's just like getting an oil change with your car. So with an oil change, you can get regular oil change, or you can get the synthetic oil change. These are premium kind of machines, people, all of them. No matter if you're getting a Moxie all the way up to the highest class that we have, they're all the same, right? It is 15 million stitches or 2 years, whichever one comes first. And they're going to go in just like with the synthetic oil. I think it's synthetic, guys. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, where you only have to get it once every so often. It's the same concept. You're only going to do this once every so often. And you want to get that maintenance anyway, because you'll be surprised that, you may get a little bit of dust down here, but there's some dust that kind of actually travels. And it's not only dust, it can be lint, or it could be, little particles that can get inside of your machine. And the last thing you ever want to do is to start quilting something, and then your machine is not working quite the way you want to, when you could have prevented it just by taking care of it along the way.
Doing your regular service. Absolutely. Yeah. And so, I was thinking, absolutely. Yes. Let's go ahead and do the question.
Do you have a favorite brush for cleaning around the bobbin area?
Do I have a favorite brush to clean the bobbin area? I'm going to be completely honest with you. I use canned air. But Tina, do you have something that you prefer to clean your bobbin area?
I do. So I use the canned air very occasionally. Usually I might use an air duster, not an air vacuum. An air duster is going to blow a light stream of air. But then when it comes to actually using a tool, like using my hands and a tool to get in, to get some of the more finer places that it may not necessarily get, I like to get a very soft bristled brush, And I use that to just kind of like, I don't know if you ever seen some of those contraptions where you just stick it in and then it pulls the lint or it pulls dust out. But it's just a very fine brush. It's very soft. So something I would use for makeup to put on my delicate skin, right? So I would just use something like that. And as far as other things that you would want to clean out is just making sure that, your bobbin is also kind of aired out, kind of brushed out, and you use that. But as far as an absolute favorite, is there a brand? There's not one. It's just as long as the bristles don't fall out on me, I'm good. Yeah.
Oh, that's a great tip. I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So on the whole topic of maintenance, something that I am definitely guilty of, and I hope I'm not the only one, but in a sense I do. I do hope that I'm the only one. I am pretty guilty about not changing my needle as regularly as I should. That is very important. Very, very, very important. Do as I say, not as I do.
Not as she does.
It's very important just because, the slightest little dull needle can make the biggest difference. Am I getting laughed at?
Okay, all right. In all fairness to Belsy, we are all kind of like, we can all relate to her because you're in the middle of quilting something and the last thing you're thinking about is changing your needles. I always tell people with every new quilt, it deserves a new needle. Right?
Absolutely.
But then you got to be realistic. I mean, some of these quilts are not all that big. I might be working on like a little throw size. I might be working on placemats. I might be working on a table runner. And I'm going to be honest. Yeah, I'm just like her. I'm not going to change that needle.
Yeah, so you do
every single time, but yeah,
definitely want to keep an eye on that needle. That is important that we do make sure we change it. As she was saying, maybe not every small project, but every larger quilt that you're doing, definitely make it a habit to change that needle. Again, do as I say, not as I do.
Okay, so I'm going to add one more thing. All right, so with the needles, a lot of people, it's kind of the same thing with thread. You have your thread and you have your needle, and I don't know, as quilters, I'm kind of like the patchwork queen, the scrap master. I want to keep ask my husband all the little bitty things, right? Even if I may never use it, I'm trying to keep it. I'm hoarding stuff that I don't have to. But I'm telling you, okay, I can be cheap just like the best of us, right? And I don't want to spend more money, but I'm going to tell you, the average cost of one needle, you're looking at $1 or $2. Yeah. This is not the time to go cheap, right? You have just spent a gazillion hours working on these quilts. Absolutely. And then you cheap out with the needle and you cheap out with the thread by saying, oh, no, I'm gonna push it to its limit. Guys, just let it go, because inevitably, before you get to the end of whatever you're trying to work on, something's going to not look quite the way it should at the end. Yeah. So just go ahead and change it out. You'll save yourself like a lot of frustration.
Absolutely. So, yeah. Yes, we have a question.
Is there any difference between the standard needles and the MR high-speed needles in a handy quilter long arm?
Yes, there is. There absolutely is. So those high-speed needles, I usually always recommend them for our what we would consider a high-speed machine, such as an Infinity. I don't know if you had any additional to add to that.
No. Okay. Well, yes. I'm happy to talk about it. So yeah, there are different types of needles. So first and foremost, we have those needles that are not MRs, and they were made originally. They come in a 10-pack. I think Belsy can show you what they look like. They come in a 10-pack, and when you look at that 10-pack of needles,
I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, when you go in that 10-pack of needles, you can use that on any and all of the machines. The MRs were originally created. Can you see that, guys?
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Awesome.
The MRs were originally created for our high-speed machines, right? So they're like, I'm going to butcher this, but it's kind of like a multi-rotational. It's not rotational. It's multi-something another, right? But it's intended to have a lot less breakage. Okay, I already got it. The next question is going to be, Tina, can I use my MR needles in these other machines? You can, but just remember that it was specifically made for these machines. Only because if you're traveling upwards to like 20, for
3,100.
yeah, 3,100 stitches per minute, you want a heavy duty machine. Now, when you're using these MR needles, that's meant for that. The standard needles, I like to say, consider that you have a whole system that's going in, right? So you have your needle that's going down. We have this tension. We have this timing that's all going down, and it's specifically created for the Amaras and the Moxies. So I would say, use the needle that's best for you. And then depending on what type of fabric you're going to use, then you're going to use something, whether it's a ballpoint, whether it's a sharp, every quilt is a little bit different. It sings a different story. So you look at your quilt, assess it, and make the best decision that's worth it for you. So if you have those MR needles, and I know you just don't want to get rid of them, okay, well, you can use them. You can use them, even if you have the Amara. But I would say just be careful with that. Right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I'm trying to go back to my train of thought that I had. It's all good. It's all good. We talked about needles. Oh, okay. Yeah, good.
We have a question.
Oh gosh, where we go? What size needle do you use when quilting batiks?
Okay, 18 is probably where I kind of live. 18. Batiks, for those, okay. You may have not heard the question. What type of needle do you use for batik fabrics? And I typically use 18. I'm pretty consistent with the 18s for the type of work that I use. I create memory quilts. I use woven fabrics. I create t-shirt quilts, and I use t-shirts. I use jerseys. It is just 18. You almost can't go wrong with that. And comes the next needle that I use is a strong second, would be a size 16. So, but yeah.
Absolutely. So I use a 16, and the reason I use a 16 is with the batik, you have a different type of woven fabric, right? It's a little bit tighter than your standard cotton. So that is, my personal preference. But as Tina was saying, I think you can't go wrong with the 16 or 18, right? You will find your Cinderella slipper and find what fits your needs best.
I love that. Yeah, I love that.
Yes.
What's the best way to clean my tracks and wheels on my Moxie XL?
That's a phenomenal question. That's a great question, actually. How do I clean the tracks on my Moxie XL? So I have a couple tips and tricks that I do, and you can please add in if you do something different.
Okay.
I actually, having that extra batting around is absolutely fantastic, because that's what I'll use. I'll actually take a piece of batting and I will run it through to try and pick up any of those additional little dust bunnies. I don't usually find that I have a lot of lint in that area, but if I ever do build up anything, that's what I use, is just a spare little piece of batting that I have laying around.
Right. And I use, to add to that, I'm definitely, batting goes a long way in my house. I use it for all kinds of things. It's erasers. It's just whatever it needs to be at any given time. But the other thing that I use is also the same can sprayed air. I just try not to spray it on any of the wiring or anything that's close to the machine on the tracks. But I am never, ever opposed to just going to the good old Swiffer, right? And just kind of like wiping some of that down. And then these machines, I'm not going to say that they're persnickety, but I am going to say they like to be clean, right? They like to function in a clean environment. Or at least I like my machine to function in a clean environment. And for some of you, I'm a germaphobe, but I definitely want it kind of clean so that I can kind of work and do what I need to do. I would just be careful whenever you're using the batting on the track that you're not picking up extra lint and it's getting caught on the track system itself. Totally. Do I use it? Yes. And at the end of the day, do I wipe down my entire machine and spray it off? I absolutely do. And then before I get started on the next day, I just kind of do a quick, like blow off, just in case something might have just kind of floated onto my machine or its tracks, and I don't want it there. I just want to be cognizant that I don't have stuff just hanging around. I think we have another question.
Yeah. Does the batting we use affect what needle we should use?
That's a good question. Does the batting I use affect the needle that I use? Is that correct? Is that what you said? Okay. What are your thoughts?
You stopped me. Okay, so yeah, okay. That is a wonderful question. As far as the batting, I will say that you have so many different types of batting. First and foremost, before you do anything else, like I said before, you always just want to use a fresh needle, because with some of the batting, if you're not using a fresh needle, what is going to happen is you might get a little bit of bearding. And that's because your needle is no longer sharp. And when it's piercing through the fabric, it's either poking some of that batting out underneath, or it can pull it up, and then you're going to get like little frays. So when I say, hey, which does it affect? Does the needle size affect the batting? I'm going to say I stick with my 18s and I stick with my 16s. I have personally not had a problem with my quilting. And sometimes, you know, and you may see this later on in the segment this afternoon, I might be quilting with 2 layers of fabric, and I'm not having a problem with that at all. So just, you know, you want to get the right batting for what you need. If you have batting that has scrim in it, I haven't not had a problem with that either, right? Scrim is like a little thin protective glue lining that's on the back of the batting. I place that flat on the backing, and I put my top on, and I'm able to quilt. And I personally have not had any issues, but you know, I would love to hear if other people have had that, because that's a question that needs to be answered.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I also haven't encountered anything that, as far as batting goes, that affects my stitching and with my needle. But I think I am very conscious and cautious about the needle size that I use, depending on the type of fabric that I'm using, right? Because I don't, the last thing I want is, I bought this beautiful fabric and I've spent all this time piecing, and, you know, I've spent the time putting my quilt top together, and then I use the wrong needle. Let's say I use a really big needle, and now I have not
larger holes.
Exactly. So that's something that I would caution. But as far as batting, I mean, if you have encountered something like that, please let us know. I would love to know the answer. Do we have any other questions? Awesome. Well, I was going to highlight, you know, we had talked about the screens on the Moxie, on the Moxie. And so our display here on the Amaras are actually a little bit larger.
Yeah, they're 7 inches, right?
Yep. Go ahead.
Oh, no, they're 7 inches, which, you know, for me, whenever I want to kind of like toggle around and move into different settings on my machine, then I'm able to see my icons clearly. You can see them on your Moxies also, so don't worry about that. But for me, these they look good, right? So, you know, we all kind of want to, whenever it's kind of like playing a sport. So the first part of it for females usually is that we want to look good in order to play good, right? So we're looking at this machine, and it's a beautiful machine, right? So it has, you know, a nice little 7-inch display on here. It's not obtrusive, so that you can see everything that's behind it. And on top of it, you're able to have this high resolution, right, Belsy?
Yeah,
a high resolution on it, so that I can see exactly where am I going. Do I want to be in a regulated mode, or do I want to be in a non-regulated mode? Uh-oh, I'm being interrupted. We have another question. Drawing time. Okay.
So do we do a countdown? Would you like us to do a countdown?
We already pushed the button.
We had the drum roll ready to go.
Oh, no. She jumped the gun. It's fine.
Okay.
Laura Crowell. Congratulations. Laurette. Oh, Laurette Crowell. Congratulations.
Email spotlight@handyquilter.com.
So please email spotlight@handyquilter.com so we can go ahead and get you your $50 gift card. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Happy for you. Feel free to share it if you like, but you know, happy for you.
All right, and then let's run through the promotions again.
Yeah.
And the trade-up.
Absolutely.
Okay. Go ahead. Let's talk about the promotions and the trade-up program again.
So as we had mentioned earlier in the segment, we do have a phenomenal promo if you're ready to go ahead and take the opportunity to grow your business or grow your quilting experience. We have the pick your own bundle, right? And so that comes with 3 different things you can pick from. One being the highlight. Again, having that additional lighting is absolutely phenomenal. again, if I were to pick, I would probably end up picking, well, I think I'm probably in the same realm as Kim. I would, if my room needed the additional lighting, I would absolutely go ahead and do the highlight. The other one that we have is the roll of batting and the thread kit, right? So your getting started kit is really nice because at this point, I've already built up my quilt tops and I have my backing. All I need is my batting and my thread to get started. So if you're new and you have stockpiled your quilt tops, that might be an option for you. And then the last one that we have is the $500 gift certificate or credit to ProStitcher.com, where you can pick your additional ProStitcher designs. And I think there was something else. Trade up. Yep. Trade up program. So as we had mentioned, we have our sales team on call. If you have any additional questions about the trade up program or what retailers are participating, definitely give them a call. If you have,
I think they're putting the number right on the screen right now.
The number underneath on the screen.
Absolutely.
So definitely give them a call. If you have a system that you bought initially and it's just not for you, it's not meeting your needs, and you want to go ahead and join the Handy Quilter family, I suggest you give us a call and we'd be happy to guide you in the right direction. If you have an older machine such as the HQ16, Avante, so on, and you're ready to upgrade and get onto our bigger machines, our bells and whistles, right? Having those additional features are really nice. Go ahead and give the sales team a call and we'd be happy to help you.
Okay, Tina, can you let us know what we'll be working on this afternoon?
Absolutely. So if you guys want to join us again, I think it's going to be 1 p.m. Mountain Time. I have to remember that because I'm normally Central. 1 p.m. Mountain Time. We're going to be working on how do we put together our memories. Specifically, we're going to talk about the quilt behind me as well as creating a t-shirt pillow. So come out, hang out with me again. I can't wait to talk to you. It's going to be so fun.
Looking forward to it.
Bye.
Bye guys.